The REDMAGIC 9S Pro has just landed in the global markets, and while there may only be a few subtle changes, its price remains the same as its predecessor. Inside the identical looking box, you'll find the device itself, as well as a clear hardshell case, a 6-amp charging cable, and an 80-watt charging block, all of which are similar to the 9 Pro. The device will soon be hitting shelves across the globe, including North America, South America, Europe, the UK, the Middle East, and Asia, so you shouldn't have any issues getting your hands on one. And as mentioned at the start, the price will remain the same as the 9 Pro, that being $649 for the base variant and $799 for the top-end model. So while the upgrades may be incremental, its price is unchanged, meaning it's certainly worth it if you don't already own a 9 Pro. If you do, then is the 9S Pro a worthy upgrade? Well, that's what we'll be trying to figure out today. One welcomed new change is the new color option, that being Frost, which has a solid backplate and only comes with 256 gigs, just like Sleet. The Cyclone and Snowfall colors are still transparent and offer more RAM and storage. I have the Cyclone variant and it still looks epic. It looks identical to the 9 Pro design, however there are a few subtle changes. The Win More Game slogan is no more, as are a few gaming-centric lines. I'm pleased with less stripes and text on the backplate as it gives it a more premium look. The REDMAGIC logo has now moved from the bottom right corner to above the branded text. The cooling system text is now more subtle and has been relocated, and while the generation model number still breathes RGB LEDs, it's now in a dot style, which is a nice touch. The cooling fan is still lit up by RGBs as well as the touch triggers, which are the exact same 520Hz triggers we saw on the 9 Pro. Everything you see on the side of the phone, including the red game space switch, is unchanged, as is the 22,000 RPM cooling fan. However, the overall cooling system has now been upgraded to ICE 13.5, which is identical to ICE 13, aside from a new frost cooling gel, resulting in cooler temps and faster cooling efficiency. The cooling system upgrade is one of two main changes. The second, as you can see on the back, is an overclocked version of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, known as the leading version, but we'll get to performance later on. The backplate has the same unknown protective glass sheet, it has the same aviation aluminum side rails, comes in at the same 8.9mm thickness, and has the same 229 grams of weight. The back is still completely flat with no camera bump whatsoever, and the sensors are also unchanged, packing in two 50-megapixel cameras for the ultra-wide and main, as well as a 2-megapixel macro sensor, so be sure to check out my REDMAGIC 9 Pro review video after this if you'd like to see some samples. But trust me, this gaming-centric phone is also a very capable camera smartphone. The screen is still protected by Gorilla Glass 5, and just like the 9 Pro, there is still no notch thanks to the under-display selfie camera, which packs in the same 16-megapixel sensor. This of course makes for the same great uninterrupted all-screen experience with no cutouts and very minimal bezels. The display itself is the same squared-off flat 6.8-inch Q9 Plus AMOLED panel, which boasts the same 400 pixels per inch, the same 1600 nits of peak brightness, and the same 120Hz screen refresh rate with a 2000Hz instant touch sampling rate and a 960Hz overall touch sampling rate. The software has seen a slight update too, with the new REDMAGIC OS 9.5 skin, which is based on Android 14. It looks identical to OS 9 with all of Google's goodies packed in, a very stock-like interface, and of course plenty of customization options and interactive widgets. However, there are now super wallpapers which let you play mini retro games on your home screen. This is certainly a very welcomed new feature. But at the end of the day, this is a gaming-centric smartphone, so gaming software is what matters most. And REDMAGIC's game space software has always been filled with features, but this time there's a few new ones to play around with. With a flick of the game space switch, you can leave the world behind and immerse yourself within the gaming universe. Of course, you can still play around with Mora, REDMAGIC's unique mascot, customize your game space home, and customize game-specific settings. But once you open up a game and lock your device, you'll be treated to the new game information overview feature, which works like an always-on display, but it's interactive and displays gaming stats. Once you're in a game, you can still bring in Game Space's overlay and make use of all the same features as before, such as adjust the refresh rate, screen record, create notes, enable charge bypass, enable enable an info panel for an FPS counter, change the sound equalizer, toggle between different performance modes including Diablo mode, change key mappings, enable macro mode, and of course adjust the physical shoulder triggers for that console-like experience. But now there's a screen extraction feature which allows you to select a piece of the game and move it anywhere on the screen for optimal viewing, as well as a new free display feature which lets you change the game's aspect ratio for a more customized viewing experience, though the game needs to be restarted for this to take effect. You can still project your screen wirelessly or wired at up to 4K 120 FPS, which gives you that true console experience. But I was really hoping that the new free display aspect ratio adjustment feature would be available while in projection mode, and it's sadly not, meaning you'll still get stretched out or boxed resolutions when using an external display. The good news is that I was able to get 120 FPS when using a wired connection, and yes, you can still run 2 games at once, one on your monitor and one on your phone's display, which is still mind-blowing to say the least. And to keep things up and running is the same massive 6500 mAh dual cell battery and the same fast 80 watt wired charging speeds, and charging is kept cool thanks to that new cooling system, which also helps keep all other components at bay. This includes up to 512 gigs of UFS 4.0 storage, up to 16 gigs of LPDDR5X RAM, and of course the overclocked Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 CPU, known as the leading version, which boosts its main core up to 3.4 GHz and its GPU frequency all the way up to a staggering 1 GHz. Pairing all of this alongside the Red Core 2 Pro dedicated gaming chip, as well as REDMAGIC's high-performance Diablo mode, makes for some seriously high benchmark scores across multiple different benchmark apps, with the most noticeable difference coming from GPU benchmark testing, which should no doubt indicate rock-solid gaming performance. So naturally, we were able to achieve a rock-solid 60 FPS when playing Genshin Impact on maxed out settings without having to ever worry about overheating, thanks to that cooling system and active turbofan. I was also not surprised to see the device achieve an average of 120 FPS when playing Real Racing 3, and those fast responding touch triggers certainly made things more enjoyable. And of course, we were also able to play Call of Duty Mobile at a constant 120 frames per second when setting the game to ultra frame rate mode. Just like the 9 Pro before it, the 9S Pro also makes use of Bluetooth 5.3, NFC, dual SIM 5G and Wi-Fi 7, and makes use of a USB 3.2 Type-C port which doubles up as a display port, a large 0815 super linear vibration motor, a 3.5mm headphone jack, and dual stereo 1115K speakers with 5 magnetic sound units, Snapdragon sound, and DTS-X Ultra. So let's go ahead and give them a listen. The REDMAGIC 9S Pro is no doubt the most interesting and most powerful gaming-centric smartphone you can get your hands on in 2024. It offers some welcomed new features, a slightly upgraded cooling system, an overclocked chipset, and a more refined design. It might not be worth upgrading if you already own a 9 Pro, but if you own any previous REDMAGIC device or you're in the market for the most immersive gaming-centric smartphone currently available, then it doesn't really get much better than this. Let me know your thoughts on one of the best devices REDMAGIC have ever put up for sale, and if you're interested in purchasing one, be sure to check out the link down below. This is TechNick, and I'll catch you in the next one.